Hello guys, welcome to my channel. 1.6.v2 changes are out, so let's talk about them. Pulchra got further nerfed. It is what it is. It's an A rank character. I wish A ranks in this game, at least the new ones, would be a bit better, but I guess it's pretty much just for beginners slash new players. And I still think I will probably build this character just to try it out and stuff, but I don't have high hopes. I don't expect her to end up being that good. So if you're somebody who just wants to play Silver Soldier Anby, you can still play with Pulchra, but you also have other options besides Trigger that you can make Silver Soldier Anby work perfectly fine. Also, supposedly, we're not going to have 1.6.3 changes for ZZZ. There might be still hot fixes or something like that, but this seems to be the major stuff, the last one that is. Also, as a disclaimer, I believe Silver Soldier Anby and Trigger, even separately, should end up being fine. I do not like that Trigger and Anby are very much feel like a very big complete package together. I wish that wasn't the case, but yeah, it is what it is. So let's begin first with V-Engine changes. Silver Soldier Anby signature V-Engine got slightly nerfed, just a 10% critical damage reduction. It's still a pretty strong V-Engine. Plus, the hair, animations, all that stuff looks pretty. It glows very nicely, so if you want to go for it, feel free to do so. It's still a pretty cool weapon. As for Trigger, her V-Engine got changed quite drastically. Some people might say it doesn't feel like a quote-unquote needed V-Engine, but I personally believe it was never needed to begin with, so you didn't really need this. I would say for her V-Engine, now it has less days, and also the damage bonus has been removed. However, the buff now is more constant, so you can maintain this impact buff at all times. I believe in overall it should be 20%. Pulchra V-Engine also did receive some changes. Now it's just for additional attacks. You get the physical damage increase and days value increase. Obviously, this should still be really good for Pulchra herself. However, I don't think it's gonna be an interchangeable V-Engine for somebody else like Trigger or something like that. I would not be surprised that Steam Oven or Fossil, whatever it's called, is probably gonna end up still being a better A rank option for Trigger than this V-Engine. Now let's go over Anby changes. Her core passive has been changed. Now she will deal 30% more damage to enemies marked with silver stars. Everything else is the same. Her additional ability has also been changed. Now it requires a stun or support character, no longer same faction character. I believe at first glance this seems to be a really good change, so she can be more flexible. However, you can have some concern in the future because there should be at least 2 more Obol squad members in the future, and perhaps somehow they break the additional abilities to not work with each other, because you never know, they could release an Obol squad, a defense character, but a stunner in disguise or something like that, or even support, and then somehow break it. So I would still be a bit skeptical about it, but for now it seems good. Everything else about the additional ability looks pretty much the same. That's about it. Special skill, as far as I understand, it's only a wording change. If I'm wrong about this, feel free to correct me down within the comments below. Smile. Anby mindscapes also were changed, specifically mindscape 1 and mindscape 2. Some people say that it is weaker now than what it used to be, because before you used to get 6 stack of charges, also decibels on top. Now, whenever you activate X special skill and hit the enemy, it will trigger the extra damage from White Thunder 3 times consecutively without consuming White Thunder stacks. I'm personally not sure how much worse this new M1 is, but generally I do not recommend at this point going for mindscapes in ZZZ. Just by getting the character, or at least trying to get the character's packages, should be strong enough to unga bunga the game, at least for now. Mindscape 2 also did receive some significant changes. She has a critical rate increase by 12%. When using the ultimate, now she gains these 6 stacks of Thunderclap, and when activating her special skill Swift Lightning and hitting enemies with White Thunder, 1 stack of this Thunderclap will be consumed instead. instead of the White Thunder. And if multiple enemies are hit by the same move, only one stack of Thunderclap can be consumed per hit. The extra damage from White Thunder will be still triggered when consuming Thunderclap. So basically, this will just enhance her damage further. I don't think this is necessary whatsoever. And lastly, her M6, feel free to read it on the screen. I don't really focus much on mindscapes anyway, so you can just, you know, pause it, read it for yourself. It's typical M6, very strong stuff, right? Before I go over trigger changes, I would like to let you know that you can subscribe to this small YouTube channel. Subscription is completely free of charge. Smile, and thank you for your support. Yeah. Now let's continue with the video. Her core passive, it seems to be just a wording change. Looks pretty much the same to me. Once again, if I'm incorrect, feel free to write it within the comments down below. Additional ability on the other hand did receive a change. Trigger when there is an attack characters or characters with the same attribute in the team. Previously was same faction. I believe this was already changed before, so this doesn't seem to be new, but now it can potentially open more roads in the future for other synergies, perhaps playing with Yanagi teams and so on. I definitely see a possibility of Trigger working also outside of Zambi teams now, so it should be fine. Hopefully it works great with Yanagi, because I would personally like to play Yanagi Trigger team. Also, the additional attack scaling has been increased to 1.5% up to maximum 75%. Actually, it's the days inflicted by the additional attack scaling has been increased. As for her ultimate, basic attacks, and all that stuff, it also has been changed. I will go over this part later within down the video where I go over the motion value changes, because there's a lot of text here as you can see on the screen. Her mindscapes have also been changed. I'll only focus on the earlier mindscapes. As for the rest, feel free to read it for yourself if you would like to do so. I believe the mindscape 1 is the same as it used to be, at least the first part, with the multiplier increased by 20%. However, the rest of it, such as when performing consecutive shots or charge counter attacks in sniper stance, the SS gain is increased by 25% and the SS limit is raised to 125. Also, yeah, actually, this part, when basic attack collaborative sniper is triggered, the cooldown is reduced to 2 seconds. So this should be the new part of M1 as well, I believe, because for mindscapes, it is a bit messy, so I believe they are changed here, but more like some of things are completely replaced, or some are just like added additional stuff on top of them. As for the mindscape 2, when performing additional attack, trigger gains 1 stack of Hunter Gaze. When performing the finishing move in sniper stance, trigger gains 2 stacks of Hunter Gaze. Each stack of Hunter Gaze increases the whole team critical damage by 6% up to 4 stacks, lasting for 10 seconds. I mean, this is a very interesting thing, like to buff your entire team critical damage, but it is an M1. I usually think they put this stuff like usually as M4 or something. As for Mindscape 4 and 6, like I said, feel free to read it out for yourself, otherwise this video is gonna be way too long. Now let's talk about the motion value adjustments. There's also quite some changes here as well. As you can see, with basic attack for civil soldier Anby, her charge generation has been changed. Supposedly now she might be able to get charge faster because of 5th attack loop thingy. I don't know if that still works. Supposedly it should still work, so perhaps you'll be able to get the charge even faster than before. As for the rest of the multipliers, some might seem like a bit steep or reduced, but overall I think it's gonna be perfectly fine. I wouldn't worry too much about this personally. As for her special and X special attack, she also received some adjustments here as well. Her X special attack surprisingly did receive a quite big damage multiplier change. Also the charge duration now it's instead of 99 to 100, which kind of makes sense. Why was it 99 to begin with? And lastly, her quick assist, defensive assist, dodge and chain attack also did receive some adjustments. Quick assist does have more damage now, days multiplier, decibel generation, all that good stuff. Defensive assist has more days multiplier, quite a lot as you can see. Meanwhile, dodge also has been increased slightly. Chain attack does give a bit more charge generation. So I think with Anby overall, she should be in a fine, good place, even if you do not have trigger, because do remember, Anby comes first and you're not gonna have trigger anyway for 3 weeks. And I'm sure people will figure out plenty of good teams to play with her, even without trigger. How good she's gonna be in the future, let's say 6 months down the line or more without trigger, that is something we'll have to wait and see. But there are always 3 runs and you could always pick up trigger at a later time. time. But if you do not want to play Trigger no matter what, then we'll have to see how good Silver Soldier Anby ends up being without Trigger in long term as well. Speaking of Trigger, she also did receive some adjustments. Now her normal attack sniper without sound will gain 25 points per continuous shot, maximum 100 points. As for her normal attack, constant sniping, now it activates once every 3 seconds instead of up to 2 times in 3 seconds. So basically I have less days and damage per second, but also it seems to be overall less point cost by the looks of it. Meanwhile, her normal attack constant sniper, it seems to do more days and damage per shot. However, overall, the days, actually should say per second perhaps, she has, it seems, less days overall. Because now it activates up to 2 times in 20 seconds instead of activate up to 2 times in 12 seconds. I'm not sure how this will end up for Trigger, but I just hope she ends up being fine with other teams as well outside of Silver Soldier Anby, such I already mentioned before, like Yanagi, maybe even with Chingy or something, like could be interesting. We'll have to see in practice how that ends up looking. They also have changed her X special. Now she has a new effect with her X special. It will trigger a quick assist to the previous character, so this is very similar to Seth. Seth is also gonna do something like that with his basic attack. Well, it's actually his, I believe, yeah, it's basic, not the X special attack, and you will be able to go to the previous character. Also, while you're in this co-combat state, whenever you trigger her normal attack concert sniper, now it no longer costs any desperation points, no cooldown. This buff lasts up to 6 seconds and can be extended up to 16 seconds. There used to be one wording before which used to say up to 84 times. Now you can no longer do that. I don't even know why it was in the first place. The damage multiplier has also been changed. Less days multiplier, less damage. In practice, how will this affect her with all overall changes? Like I said, we'll have to see it in practice as well, but I believe she's gonna turn out being fine. I just hope she can still be relatively good outside of Zambi teams as well. And lastly, we have Trigger Ultimate. Whenever you ult now with her, it will also trigger a quick assist to the previous character, just like with her X special skill. And just like her X special skill, her ultimate will also give you this co-combat state, which will allow you to trigger the normal attack concert sniper with no desperation cost, no cooldown, lasts 6 seconds, and it's extendable up to 16 seconds. I believe the extension, duration, everything is the same as X special skill, but obviously the ultimate costs decibels, X special skill is energy. Also, the damage multiplier has been nerfed for her ultimate. So overall with Trigger, I hope she doesn't end up being stuck just with Silver Soldier Anby and can be relatively good outside of her teams. Also do know that they do release 2 characters per patch in this game, so the likelihood of getting more electric DPS characters throughout the year is very high, so there is a very high chance she might have some other teammates. It also depends whether we're gonna get more additional attackers within this year that could synergize really well with Trigger. And lastly, let's talk about Pulchra. Pulchra was already heavily nerfed the previous changes. Now she seems to be even nerfed further. Her normal attack seems to be relatively unscathed. It does have some damage multiplier nerfs, actually no, never mind. Actually, even her damage from the quick attack has been nerfed besides the days ratio. Okay, so yeah, they also nerfed this as well. Yikes. Also, her assist follow-up has been heavily nerfed. Now the days went from 837% to 398. I don't know, they just keep nerfing Pulchra, and at this point I'm not confident in any future A-rank characters, because it seems to me they're just either like a filler character, beginner, new player type of character, and that's it. I wish we had more side grade of characters. If you play HSR, like when we got Gallagher, he was pretty good for many months and people still use him up to this day. So I wish we had more A-rank /4 stars that have more usage and playability, because right now to me Pulchra is like you pull the character, play with Zambi for 3 weeks, and then there comes Trigger, right? Or whenever there's another rerun, if you cannot get it, assuming you do want to play it with Trigger. Because I don't know, maybe some of you guys don't like Trigger, but I sure do love Trigger. She's great. She triggers everyone. Surely, smile. And lastly, we have her chain attack in ultimate. That also has been changed. changed. The chain attack is left unscathed, not changed. Meanwhile, the ultimate did receive more damage multiplier and days nerfs. Personally, I just wish the A ranks were treated differently within ZZZ. Because remember, Seth is also one of those forgotten characters, and most people that I see that play Seth play it because they don't have all their S rank alternatives yet. Not necessarily this is a character that's like a relative best in slaughter upgrade for some specific type of team. But yeah, overall, I think Civil Soldier Anby will end up being fine. There might be more hot fixes on the way. Same with Trigger. I think she's gonna be okay as we get more characters throughout the year that can synergize well with her. I would like to see more electric DPS type of characters, so Trigger also has potentially more options with who she can be played. And same for Civil Soldier Anby. So that's that, yeah. So this is pretty much for this video. If you have any questions or would like to add anything yourself, or I misunderstood something, feel free to write it within the comments down below. Smile. And of course, if you like this video, don't forget to give it a like, all that stuff. Or if you disliked it, you can dislike, you know, smile. I mean, if you've been watching up to this point, impressive. And also, I do stream every single day on Twitch/YouTube. You can always drop by and just yap with me if you like to do so. And yeah, I guess this is it. I wish you a wonderful day. See you in the next video. Ciao.